let's take a look at the current landscape for database management systems. And I think at the top of the list really is that the world's no longer only relational or only SQL SQL. We've got NoSQL database systems, and they're being deployed to support specific use cases, specific types of workloads. And this has given rise to this term polyglot persistence. And it's a big multi-syllable word, and it really just means that we use the right database platform for each specific requirement, instead of trying to force fit everything into a single DBMS. And that was usually a relational DBMS, like we're an Oracle shop or we're a DB2 shop. Okay, so I'm not really going to try to explain the use cases for each of the NoSQL database types, but there's 4 of them. There's document, graph, key value, and wide column store. And each of them has specific benefits, pros and cons for why and when you adopt them. And another trend is that we're seeing database systems that are hybrid, and they combine multiple models into a single DBMS. So it could be document and key value, it could be graph and relational. And we're seeing that grow as a type of DBMS. Anyway, though, each type of database platform has its own pros and cons, and DBAs need to understand the use cases for each so that they can guide their organization to choose appropriately. You know, this is different than the prevailing relational only mindset of just a few years ago, where every new project used one of the major DBMS systems. You know, also, I got to say that, you know, even without these new types of database systems, most organizations use more than one relational DBMS, you know, even before NoSQL came on the scene. So you had Oracle and DB2, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, Informix, you know, and so on. And on top of that, there's still organizations, usually larger organizations that run mainframe systems that use pre-relational databases, things like IMS or IDMS. Then there's this additional trend that Gartner refers to as hybrid transactional analytical processing. And really what this means is that we're using a single DBMS to deliver both transaction processing and analytics workloads. And a lot of times organizations split that out. So you'd run your transactional workload on Oracle or DB2, and you'd run your analytical workload on some kind of warehouse appliance. And increasingly, they're being brought together under a single model with hybrid transactional analytical processing. And you know, another clear trend is, you know, more work's being done in memory with things like SAP HANA. And then don't forget about Hadoop and Spark. And they're used for long-term data persistence needs when the schema may not be known up front, or the schema needs to be flexible for things like, you know, data lakes. So the bottom line here is that organizations on average have between 100 and 500 database instances, and those run across multiple platforms and multiple products. And really the net of that all is that things are getting more and more heterogeneous, and at the same time more complex.